Joining me on this live broadcast on the day the Modi Sarkar 3.0 turns 100 days old, and on the day the Prime Minister's birthday, the 74th birthday takes place, which is being celebrated by the BJP, is External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar. Dr. Jaishankar, pleasure to have you here on Times Now. As everybody would want to know, the first 100 days, what was the defining moment in these first 100 days for you as the External Affairs Minister and for the government for the third time taking over the reins of this country?
Navika, first of all, let me say it's a great pleasure to be back on the channel. And I would say this, look, because it was the third term, we were ready to go from day one. We had given a lot of thought to what the first 100 days would be. And if you look at foreign policy, I would say in terms of diplomatic activity, clearly the focus was, what were the objectives of the economy, of national development on the one side, and in terms of our global positioning and responsibilities on the other. So when it comes to the first one, I mean, you saw the Prime Minister go immediately after the swearing in to the G7 summit. He met all the G7 leaders there, many others as well. Then he went on a trip to Southeast Asia, to ASEAN, to Singapore and Brunei. And these were, I think, directly related to what we are expecting to do, and I'd be happy to talk about it in terms of the economy and national development. In terms of the positioning and our responsibilities, I think the most important steps he took were the visits to Russia and Ukraine. And the fact that today we are one of the few countries who can talk to both these governments, both these countries at this very difficult time, and to see what is it that we can do really to deal with a conflict which has now gone on for so long. We've also had the Voice of the Global South Summit, the third one, which happened in August. Now that's very important because doing it before going into the UN General Assembly, I think, was very important. It kind of motivates the Global South to come together. So overall, I would say purely in terms of diplomatic activity at the Prime Minister's level, we really have got off to a fast start, got some important things done. I myself have, of course, gone to the neighborhood, to the Gulf, and our president has visited New Zealand and visited Southeast Asia. So there's a lot to show.
Dr. Jaishankar, you speak about the Prime Minister's visit to both Russia and Ukraine. There has been a lot of flack that your government has faced from the opposition. During elections, of course, Papa War Rukwa Denge was a interesting meme that came up. Do you think, realistically speaking, India can and will play, in the foreseeable future, a role to put an end to the war? Because, meeting with Putin and then with Zelensky, the body language, what did it convey to you?
Look, Navika, during election times are times for polemics, they are time for memes. The fact is 20,000 Indian students got out, didn't they? That's the proof of the pudding. And they got out at a time when in the middle of fighting, and at the time when they were getting out, the fighting had stopped. So the reality is there for everybody to see. Now, it was never anybody's claim that we stopped the war forever. It was our claim that for the evacuation of our students, we were able to get something exceptional done. So let's get the facts straight on that. Regarding the current situation, look, the Prime Minister went to Russia. He had a very long conversation with President Putin, and thereafter he made this trip, which, by the way, was the first ever trip of any Indian Prime Minister to Ukraine. Now, he had a long detailed discussion with President Zelensky. I was there myself with him, assisting him in that regard. And again, my sense is, we have not gone there with a peace plan, but we have gone there to express the global sentiment that this war is hurting everybody, including the two parties who are fighting the war, and that there is a global desire for this conflict to stop. And if we can do something which, you cannot be fatalistic in such a situation and say somebody else will take care of it, or it will keep carrying on till, everybody gets exhausted. That's also one way of looking at it, I guess. That's not the way we want to look at it.
But Zelensky,
so, again, I come back to it.
The fact that you meet Russia and then go to Zelensky, to request for peace, has that gone down well? Because people expect us to be votaries of peace, and meetings with Russia, oil contracts.
No, I think, look, you got to get your basics right. We went to Russia because we have a relationship with Russia. We went to Ukraine because we have a relationship with Ukraine. So, and look, at the end of the day, what does it come down to? It comes down to national development. It comes down to global peace. I mean, we are doing something which is obviously good for us, but it's also something the world wants. So I can assure you, our conversations with Ukraine were very constructive, and it is something which we intend to take forward, and I think they would like us to take it forward.
Okay, Dr. Jaishankar.
So, but the third term, I again come back to it. Yeah.
Please go.
Look, the third term is a term where we are looking for an external environment which is helpful for national development. There is a big economic developmental agenda for the third term. You can already see it unfolding in the first 100 days. There was a lot of interest. I was in Germany and in Singapore, two countries which are deeply involved with the Indian economy, also in the Gulf, in UAE, Qatar and Saudi Arabia. I think there's a lot of interest today in what we are doing in terms of industrial nodes, the 12 nodes we've announced, in terms of what we are planning on the semiconductor, the entire that particular domain, in our skilling programs, because there is a global appetite today to invest in India, to work with India, to have Indians working in the global workplace as well. And what we are doing in terms of security issues is to create a certain stability in the world so that our economic interests and those of the rest of the world will carry on.
Well said. Does the situation in our neighborhood, especially Bangladesh, worry you at the moment? The attack on minorities, that is Indians there, the fact that Sheikh Hasina is still in India, may not be the most comfortable of situations given the new dispensation in Bangladesh. How do you see the road ahead in our relationship with Bangladesh and our decisions on Sheikh Hasina?
Well, Navika, look, we have a deep relationship with all our neighbors, and in the last decade, in the first two terms of the Modi government, I think those relationships have actually really, in a way, become very much stronger. I mean, if you measure it by any metric, you can see the progress in that relationship. So, what happens in our neighborhood is, I mean, neighboring countries also have their politics, and sometimes their politics go a certain directions, and, in their own society, there may be some turbulence. I think the mature thing is to wait for it to settle down and then see, how the basic, the fundamentals of our relationship, which are so strong, that they assert themselves. Now, this is not a theoretical proposition. I think a lot of people said a lot of things with some of our other relationships. I mean, at various points of time, questions have been raised about Nepal, about Sri Lanka, about Maldives. But I suggest to you that in every case, we have been mature, we have been patient, we have actually given space for events to sort themselves out. And you would see that in each case, actually, the deep convergences, these are all, look, with every neighbor, there is trade, there's movement of people, our economies today are so closely interwoven that the people-to-people contacts are so strong. I think these are very steadying factors in the relationship, and I expect that to be the case here as well.
On Sheikh Hasina?
Well, Sheikh, I think I've already given a statement in Parliament on that. I mean, she came here in a certain situation at very short notice, and then we'll have to see where we go on from that.
How do you respond to the statements made by Mr. Rahul Gandhi on Sikhs that the fight in India was whether a Sikh could wear a turban, whether he could go to a Gurdwara? How do you see these statements, and how do you see the response where Panoon, the SFJ head who actually, welcomed Rahul Gandhi's statement?
Well, Navika, don't you think that's a question you should be asking Rahul Gandhi, not me? He's the person who made that statement. I can only tell you that I was in Delhi in 1984. So I actually saw firsthand what happened to Sikhs at that time. So look, there is a basic issue. I mean, you have just cited one more example. The basic issue is it does not behove. I think anybody of any standing, formal or otherwise, in India, to by all means debate at home. But I think to go outside and then to make these kinds of statements, which will naturally be used by people who are anti-India. I mean, you are providing them fodder. Now, whether you are doing it consciously or whether you are doing it without understanding, I mean, I don't know which one is worse. I mean, what can I say beyond that?
Dr. Jaishankar, his meeting with US lawmakers like Ilhan Omar and her position on POK, her position on, her ties with Pakistan, well known. Do you think this puts India in an awkward position in its formal relationship with the United States of America, especially since the Prime Minister is scheduled to visit the United States for the Quad meeting just in a few days?
Navika, there's a saying that we are all known by the company we keep. So I think you can see the company which is being kept. I mean, I think that says everything, doesn't it?
Dr. Jaishankar, when Rahul Gandhi says that land, the piece of almost the size of Delhi has been taken over by China, and you said recently that 75% of our outstanding issues with China are sorted.
Navika, I have answered many of this before. So once again, let me just say that on 100 days, you can see we are ready to go. And there has already been a lot of activities on a lot of issues. You can see that whether it is diplomacy in support of our national development, in terms of taking the country forward on skilling, on manufacturing, on cutting areas like semiconductor. Our foreign policy is fully supportive and ready to do its bit to contribute to India. Once again, a great pleasure talking to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jaishankar. But, when I play this interview out, the opposition might just say that the foreign minister ran away from the question on China. I request you respond to the question on China to set the record straight.
Look, I don't think the opposition can say what it does. They've been saying it. I think the record is very clear. The record is very clear. And I am on record saying this. I am on record saying that our disengagement discussions are in progress, and we have made good progress, and we hope to take it forward. So for assertions of that kind to be made, Look at the knowledge and credibility of the people who are making it. That is all that I can say.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Jaishankar, for putting that record straight and speaking straight off the hip, because this message should silence your critics. But thank you very much for joining me here on Times Now, and thank you very much for speaking as usual, as frankly as you normally do.